What's up guys, it's Aiden, and today we're going to go through how Kanye West's Runaway was made. Let's get into the video. This song was produced by Mike Dean, Jeff Bhasker, Emil Haney, and Kanye West, and for my Patreon supporters, the FLP and the stems are now exclusively available to you guys. A couple weeks ago, after my All of the Lights remake, I polled you guys on YouTube and I asked you guys what Kanye West song you wanted to see deconstructed next, and the majority of you guys voted for not Runaway. So I decided to remake Runaway. Okay, the truth is, I secretly decided to remake all 4 songs at the same time, and Runaway's just been the first song to be completed, so I decided to break that one down first. And the others will be released hopefully soon. I know everyone says this, but make sure to subscribe with bell notifications so you don't miss when those videos come out. Anyway, let's jump into the remake. Let's start off with the piano. In researching this song, I found footage of Kanye West performing Runaway on an MPC 3000 XL, and that got me thinking, it might be possible that they also used the MPC in the production stage of this song. So I reached out to a longtime friend of the show, Cymatics. They're not sponsoring this video, but they said if I ever need a synth for a video, they're happy to send one out. So I said, can you please send me an MPC? And I mean, you already know the answer. They said yes. So I went through all the MPC libraries and expansions, and the preset we're going to be using today is the Club Piano X preset in the F9 Instruments expansion. And that's the closest sounding piano preset I'd found in or out of FL Studio. It's going to sound like this. And Runaway is built off this piano loop, so this loop is just going to play throughout the entire song. Now let's move on to the drums. Runaway samples this drum loop from a song called The Basement by Pete Rock and CL Smooth. It starts at the very beginning. So let's take that into FL Studio, and the first thing we're going to do is bring down the pitch by 1 semitone, so it's going to sound like this. Then we're adding that to our mixer, and we're going to be adding DS10 drum shaper. And the first thing we're doing is bringing down the attack, which is going to be reducing the transient or the punchiness of this drum sample. And that's going to bring less focus on the drums and bring more focus onto the melodic side of the instrumental. So now it's going to sound like this. The next thing we're doing is adding a synth to back up the piano melody, and we're using the preset Frozen Rings. Then we have this bass preset coming in from Sylenth. Really cool sound. And you can make this on Sylenth using a sine wavetable with 1 voice and then a saw wavetable with 7 voices, then detuned. So this is making a super saw combined with a sine wavetable. So that's going to sound... That sounds really mean. It would sound like this just as a super saw. But adding this sine wavetable. Then this step is really important for this bass preset. We're going to be adding that to our mixer and adding Ozone 9 Imager for some frequency specific stereo imaging. So one thing about super saws is they have a really big stereo width. They're really wide, and this normally wouldn't be a problem, but we're using this as a bass preset, which means that these sub frequencies here below 60 Hertz are going to have a really wide stereo width, and that's going to cause a bunch of phasing issues. So as you can see, I've brought these sub frequencies down to -100, which means that they're now playing in mono. So before it's going to look like this. Crazy wide. Then once we bring it down to -100, it's going to be playing in mono. As you can see, it's just a straight line. We're going to be playing 2 different melodies with this bass preset. First one's going to sound like this. And the second bass melody comes in a little bit later, and it's going to be more complicated, so it's going to sound like this. Then for the choruses, we're going to be adding in a crash sample. Now that's a lie. We're actually going to be adding in a snare sample, but we're going to be turning it into a crash. See how I flipped it over on you there? The sample we're going to be using is the BWB Wave 3 Snare 46, which sounds like this. Then we're going to be adding a bunch of reverb to that sound. So we're going to put that on the mixer, and we're adding Valhalla Room. So this is before, and this is after. Massive difference. So we're bringing the mix up to 100%, so all we're going to hear is a reverb. Then we have some more samples. We have a vocal sample from a Rick James concert where he's playing Mary Jane live, and it comes in at 6:28. I can't believe Kanye West found this sample. Anyway, it's gonna sound like this. Look at you! So this is the sample. Look at you! And for effects, we're adding some EQ to cut out the low end, some Fruity compressor to add some compression to the sample, some Fruity delay, and finally some reverb. Then we're automating the panning of this sample, so it's gonna be playing from left to right. Then we're adding in another sample. This is from Introduction to Star Time. It starts at the very beginning.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Star Time at the Apollo Theater.
And we're going to add some effects to make it sound more like a Kanye West type sample. So first off, we're adding parametric EQ2 to cut out the low end and the high end. So it's going to sound like this.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Then we're bringing the high end back in by adding some distortion. So we're adding Ozone 9 Exciter to add some tube distortion. That's going to sound like this.
Ladies and gentlemen.
So this is before.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Then this is after.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Has much more of a Kanye West type feel to it. So let's record that into the song. Then later on in the song, we're going to add some more instruments. In the original song, they probably recorded a live orchestra, so we can't perfectly replicate the original with digital instruments. But anyway, we're going to be adding a tuba and a cello. And it's going to sound like this. You know, Kanye actually does that in the original song. He just goes crazy with this. Anyway, that's basically it for the video. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time.